Good morning, you guys. Glad you can join me for a word study this morning. I hope that it'll help you, encourage you, and get your brains nice and warmed up so you can do some good schoolwork for your teacher. This morning we're going to talk about many things, but first we're going to review our vowels. Why are we going to do that? Well, some of you out there in kindergarten, first grade land might not know your vowels yet, and that's okay. So we're just going to review them. If you already know them, just say them right along with me. We have our vowels. Let's say them. They are A, E, I, O, and U. And you know what? I think this one's my favorite one. Why? Why is it my favorite? Because it makes me say you, and it makes me say I'm thinking about you, and I'm glad that you've come to join me here in my classroom. Also, I like the letter U because it kind of looks like a smile. And so why don't we do that together right now? Let's take a look at the U. Let's say U and let's smile. Okay, sometimes I call these my magical letters because A, E, I, O, and U, they can all say their name in a word, but they also have special sounds, which brings me here to what we call the long sound and the short sound. And we're not going to spend a whole lot of time with that this morning, but I am going to tell you that each of these letters has a long sound, and their long sound is actually their name. So the long sound of A is A, the long sound of E is E, the long sound of I is I, the long sound of O is O, and the long sound of U is U. We say the name, and that's what makes it its long sound. The next one is our short sound. Now this is where it gets tricky because we have to kind of move our mouth around in order to make these short sounds of these vowels. And so a lot of you have learned certain names of animals or items that help you remember the sound of each of the letters. We're going to start with A, ah, ah. The letter A, short sound is ah, as in you say your word, I'll say mine. Apple, apple. That is the short sound of the letter A because I actually had to move my mouth in order to get the sound of the A. So that is the short sound. We're going to move on a little bit quicker now that we've got it. We've got the letter E. Let's do the sound of an E, and it says eh, eh. You put in your word eh, eh. I'm going to choose elephant. Elephant. That's the sound of the letter E, the short sound of the letter E. Now I'm going to move to the letter I. The sound of the letter I, the short sound of the letter I is I. And now I'm going to say my sound, I. And how about you fill in your word? What would you say? I. I'm going to say igloo, a place where it's very cold, unlike here in Florida, right? Okay, let's move on. We have the letter O. The short sound for the letter O goes like this. Watch my mouth. Ah, ah. And now I'm going to add my word. What are you going to say? Ah, ah. Octopus. Octopus is the sound of the O, the short sound. And moving right along to my favorite letter, U, which is this letter. The sound of a U goes like this. Watch my mouth. And now I'm going to put my word in. You put your word in. Here we go. Umbrella. Umbrella is the sound of the letter U, the short sound. So very quickly, we just reviewed our vowels. Say them with me. A, E, I, O, and U, because that's my favorite, remember? And let's put a smile on our face. Okay. We have the long sound of each of the vowels. The long sound says we say their names like we just did. The short sound, we have to change our mouth in order to make those sounds. Ah, eh, do it with me. I, Very good. Those are our vowels. Now, we're going to quickly move into something different. I'm going to go ahead and erase the long and the short sound words. And now we're going to have a little bit of a brain exercise. And so I'm going to write 2 letters on the board. You tell me what they are. This is the letter A. Did you get it? And this is the letter T. Of course you got it. And now I'm going to draw a line right underneath it. We're going to have a little bit of a speed drill. Let's see if you can beat Mrs. Williams this morning. We have the letter A and the letter T, and I know many of you are going, oh, that's at. I already know that, no big deal. But for those of you who did not know this, how did I get that? Watch my mouth. I went ah. That was the short sound of the A, and I blended it with the T. At. Now, what I'd like to do this morning is very quickly to finish our word study is to all of the sudden create so many words so fast just by using this sound at. And I'm going to need your help. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a letter right here at the beginning, and then I'm going to bring down my same sound. Look at my word. Anybody know? Well, let's start back here. We have at. If I add an M, I have mat. Now, I know many of you are going, Mrs. Williams, really, that's quite simple. But for those of you who didn't, watch again. I had my mouth already at. And then I move down already. Here I go. I'm ready to put the mat. I added the M and made a whole new word. Watch, I'm going to do it again. See if you beat me before I tell you the word. I'm going to add an S. Now watch. S. Bring down the A. Bring down the T. Don't tell me yet. Let's go back to the beginning. At. If I add an M, I have mat. And if I have an S, I add an S, I have sat. How many of you got it? I bet most of you did. You're very smart. And that's lovely. Okay, so we've got the word sat. I'm going to add another letter. Are you ready? This one I'm not particularly fond of. It's my bossy R, because bossy R is R, and he always sounds angry. But that's okay. I'll add him anyway. Here we go. It's the R. Anybody know the word? Let's see if you can figure it out. R, A, T. Don't tell me. Let's start it back at the beginning first. We have our sound at, getting our mouth ready. We add the M, mat. We come down, add the S, sat. Come down, add the R, rat. And we just created 3 new words from our short vowel sound A plus T. Now, what I'd like to do to finish our little time together, I'm going to point at the word. You tell me if you remember what it is. Ready? Here we go. How many of you said at? Okay, ready? Get ready. If this is at, what's this word? Rat. Very good. And if you got rat, I put an M and I get mat. Moving down for sat. Very good. Okay, just a fun little exercise, getting our brains nice and warm. I hope you enjoyed this little time together this morning. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.